Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into Jeff Thompson's book, The Throws and Takedowns of Greco-Roman Wrestling.
That's right.
We'll pull out the key stuff, the core insights for you, our listener. Think of it as a focused exploration.
Exactly. A guided tour, you could say. We want to give you a solid grasp of the principles, maybe some specific techniques Thompson highlights.
But without, drowning you in details.
Right. The essence, the aha moments, that's the goal.
In Greco-Roman wrestling, it's distinctive, isn't it? Thompson points this out straight away. That big rule, no holds below the waist.
Yeah, that's the absolute key. It totally shapes the strategy compared to, say, freestyle or judo.
Everything's upper body.
Everything. And because wrestlers don't need to defend leg attacks, their stance changes. It's usually higher, more upright.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it forces a whole different kind of fight.
Now, the author, Jeff Thompson, he's got quite the background.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Black belts in karate judo.
And instructor-level Greco under USA All-State champ Chris Whelan.
Right. But it's his other experience that adds a unique layer, I think.
You mean the nightclub doorman stuff?
Exactly. That real-world pressure cooker. He's seen what actually works when things get messy, not just on a mat.
That definitely gives his perspective some weight. He's looking at practicality.
Totally. It's not just theory for him. It's about what stands up under pressure.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Understand the basics of Greco throws, look at some techniques Thompson favors, and think about how they might apply.
Sounds good. Let's jump in. Chapter 1, balance, stance, grip, the foundations.
Right. Where does Thompson start? With the stance, I assume.
Yep. He talks about that higher, more vertical posture we mentioned, maybe a straddle stance initially.
Right.
But then for attacking, you shift into what he calls a 45-degree wedge stance.
A wedge stance. So like 1 foot forward and slightly out.
Kind of. Yeah, 1 foot ahead, a bit to the side, knees slightly bent, posture upright.
And the weight, where should that be?
Crucial point he makes. Weight centered over the rear heel of your front foot.
Okay, rear heel. Got it.
That wedge gives you a solid base, right? For attacking, but also for defending, a strong foundation.
Balance is obviously huge in wrestling.
Absolutely fundamental. Thompson warns against feet getting too close or stretching too far out. Either way, you're vulnerable.
Finding that sweet spot takes practice, I guess. Solid but mobile.
Exactly. Comes with time on the mat.
Okay, so stance and balance, then the grip, the first connection.
Right. Thompson describes a basic sort of neutral grip to start. Left hand around the right triceps, and the right hand goes around the back of the neck.
Neutral, meaning neither person has an immediate advantage.
Pretty much. It's a starting point. From there, the battle for dominant grip begins.
And Thompson really emphasizes grip work, doesn't he?
Oh, massively. He says in almost any grappling, getting the better grip. That's often the first win. It dictates everything.
He even mentions getting battered himself because his grips weren't as good.
Yeah, that story says a lot. It's not just about the big throws. It starts with the hands. Control the grips. Control the fight. Like holding the reins.
It's like a mini battle before the main event.
Totally. And he notes, high-level guys, the one with the better grips usually runs the show. Sometimes they barely need a full technique if their grip control is that good.
Strength helps, but it's not everything.
Skill matters more, often. Good grip technique can control someone much bigger, he says.
And what about his street perspective on grips?
Well, he admits you probably won't face a trained wrestler on the street.
Right.
But he argues that learning good gripping skills is still super valuable just for controlling someone, establishing that physical leverage.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you get a grip gap, then what? Break their balance.
Exactly. You can't easily throw someone solid and balanced, especially if they know what they're doing. You have to disrupt them first.
How do you do that?
Pulling, pushing, sideways, backwards, or even faking a throw. Get them to react, shift their weight.
Make them stumble before you try to move them.
That's a good way to put it. Force them to adjust, make them unstable for a moment. That's your window. It's a key principle in lots of grappling arts.
He also mentioned stiff arming.
Ah, yeah. Common with less experienced people, maybe nervous ones. They just push you away with straight arms.
What's the counter?
Use their force against them. Go with it, redirect it to create an opening. Don't just fight strength with strength.
And it brings up the self-defense angle again.
Yeah.
The idea of a blow before throw.
Yeah, the harsh reality side. A quick strike can disrupt balance, physically and mentally, setting up the throw in a real situation.
And his point about Greco being good when there's no clothing to grab, that was interesting.
Very practical point. No gi, no jacket. Greco focuses on body locks, controlling the torso, the limbs directly, natural hooks.
So it translates well to, say, a t-shirt scenario.
Exactly. He sees it as really effective for self-defense because of that. You can control, take down, or even slam, depending on the need. Direct body manipulation.
Okay. And he listed some specific basic grips, too.
Right at the end of the chapter. The grab finger grip, though, he warns about linking fingers.
Risky.
Yeah. Wrist grip, back of hand and wrist, palm to palm with thumbs in or out variations. And palm to bicep, often for setting up armor bars.
And the message is, practice these.
Definitely. He stresses it. Without a good grip, the throws just aren't going to happen reliably. He calls it the fascinating initial battle. Don't skip the grip work.
Got it. Solid foundation.
Yeah.
Balance, stance, grip. So, chapter 2, the snatch. Thompson's favorite.
Yeah, his personal favorite. He says it's not pretty, maybe not aesthetically pleasing like some throws.
But functional.
Extremely functional, especially for self-defense, where effectiveness trumps style points, right? Direct and practical.
So how does the basic snatch work?
Okay, so you're in that conventional grip, maybe the left lead wedge stance. You basically yank their head downwards and forwards hard.
Like you're trying to smash their face on the floor.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the visual he uses. At the same time, you step back hard with your rear leg.
And the effect.
It's the shock, the sudden downward force, the balance disruption. It just takes their feet out, usually. They end up face down on their belly. Very abrupt, very disorienting.
Puts them straight onto the defensive.
Exactly, down and vulnerable. But that's not the only option from the snatch. He outlines alternatives.
Okay, like what?
Well, one is using it to set up a guillotine choke. Instead of just pulling down, you pull their head down and under your armpit.
Ah, trapping it.
Right. Wrap your arm around the neck, secure the choke, then you might sprawl your legs back for a stable base, bring them down to their knees, and finish it.
That sounds effective. What else?
Something more dramatic, transitioning into a suplex over your head.
From the snatch.
Yeah. Snatch them forward, lock the head, but then you step in close. Bend your knees really deep, get your hips right under their center of gravity.
Okay.
Then it's a big lift and throw, using your legs and back, arching backward over your head. Classic suplex motion.
Wow, quite a transition.
And there's even a waist-level suplex variation he mentions. You snatch them forward, almost letting them fall into you.
Okay.
And as they come in, you quickly wrap both arms around their waist, clasp hands, and hit the suplex from there. Same deep knee bend, powerful arch.
So that initial snatch can lead in several directions.
Exactly. It shows how one basic move can open up different follow-ups depending on the reaction or your goal. Very versatile.
Okay, interesting. Let's move to chapter 3 then. The belly-to-belly suplex. He says this one's tough.
Yeah, considers it one of the hardest suplexes to pull off correctly.
But worth it.
He thinks so. Successfully hitting a clean belly-to-belly, throwing someone right over your head, that can have a big psychological impact, especially in self-defense.
What makes it so hard?
The grip is paramount. He stresses it has to be incredibly tight around their waist, like you're welded together, any space, and it probably fails.
Okay, super tight grip. Then what?
You gotta drop your center of gravity way below theirs, deep knee bend, feet level with theirs, or even slightly behind.
Lower than them.
Much lower. Then it's an explosive lift, straight up and back over your head. You straighten your legs and arch your back powerfully, simultaneously, like a clean and jerk almost, but backwards.
Sounds demanding. What about the landing?
Couple options. You can turn a bit as they land, so it's not a direct flat back impact.
Right.
Or you can fully commit, go into a crab bridge, which might land them harder, maybe upper back, neck area.
And the grip doesn't have to be just the waist.
He mentions you can sometimes get it by grabbing around the arms or even one arm, as long as you can lock your hands together for that essential tight bind. But yeah, the timing, the power, it's challenging.
Key takeaways seem to be tight grip, get low.
Absolutely crucial for getting the lift needed for that one. Okay, chapter 4. Belly to side suplex.
Similar principles, different entry.
That's what Thompson says. All suplexes share basics. The setup and grip are the main variables. He repeats that core idea. Get your arms tight around them, hands locked. A suplex is probably possible.
Does he mention defenses to the suplex?
Briefly. Someone might try dropping their weight forward, which he kind of shrugs off, saying that might put them where you want them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Or they might try hooking a foot inside your legs to stop the lift. He suggests counters like just falling sideways on top or driving through it.
So the belly to side entry he describes,
Yeah.
how does that work?
Okay, he gives one specific setup. Imagine your opponent reaches their right arm for your left shoulder.
Standard kind of reaching grip.
Right. As they do, you use the inside of your left wrist to hook their wrist and sweep it across their body. You can use your right hand to help secure it.
Okay. Control their wrist.
Simultaneously, as you sweep the arm, you step across their legs. Then wrap your arms tight around their waist, trapping their controlled arm in the process.
Trapping the arm is key.
Yes, and then execute the suplex. The crucial thing is it has to be one smooth, continuous motion. Use the momentum from the arm sweep. No hesitation.
Give them no time to react.
Exactly. He really pushes that smooth flow. And he suggests practicing just the hand action, that wrist catch, on its own until it's automatic.
Muscle memory.
Right. And again, deep knee bend, straight back for the lift. Power generation.
He mentioned his coach drilled just the entry for this one.
Yeah, over and over. Reinforces how vital that setup is, that the entry is half the battle, maybe more.
Okay, makes sense. On to chapter 5. Belly to back suplex. This one's more common.
Yeah, Thompson calls it the most common and often the easiest suplex.
All right, easier.
Because being behind someone is a huge advantage, tactically. They can't easily see or defend what you're doing.
True. Blind spot.
Even if they panic and drop to a knee to avoid the full throw, well, they're still on the ground. Mission accomplished, maybe?
So how do you get behind them?
2 main ways he describes. One is quick. Duck under their arm as they try to grip you. Before they even connect, zip right behind them. And the other is reactive. Duck under their arm after they've already established a grip. Use their own hold against them to create the opening.
Can you walk through an example?
Sure. Say they get a high grip on you. You use one hand to just slightly prop their gripping arm up, creates a small gap.
Okay.
Then you duck under that arm, keeping your head tight to their body for control. Step firmly behind them. Wrap your other arm around their waist.
Now you're behind them, one arm around the waist.
Right. Turn so your belly faces their back. Clasp your hands tight around their lower stomach area. Drop your weight, bend the knees, and then boom. Execute the suplex, arching the back hard.
And again, smooth and fast.
Essential. Any pause, any hesitation gives them a chance to feel it coming and try to counter. It needs to be fluid, practice.
Constant theme. Practice the transitions.
Yeah.
Okay, chapter 6. High double leg takedown. That sounds like freestyle wrestling.
It is, fundamentally.
Yeah.
But Thompson talks about the Greco adaptation. Obviously, in competition, no leg attacks allowed.
Right.
But for self-defense, that rule goes out the window.
Yeah.
Still, the Greco approach focuses on upper body control, so the adaptation grips higher.
Higher on the hips, not the legs.
Exactly. You wrap your arms around their waist, aiming for the small of the back just above the hips.
Oh, yeah.
Then you drop your weight onto one leg, drive the opposite knee down towards the floor, placing it between and just past their legs.
So one knee drives down between their legs.
Right. Your other knee bends out to the side, acting like a block or a drive. You push hard, driving them onto their back. And crucially, head tucked tight into their side, under the armpit if possible.
Explosive movement.
Has to be. All at once. Coordinate the drop, the knee drive, the push, the head position.
Is there variation?
Yeah, if you're already low, maybe pulled down to your knees, he says you can drive both knees forward between their legs to finish the takedown.
But there's a risk here.
Big time. Thompson warns strongly about guillotine chokes or headlocks when you shoot low like that. It's a classic counter.
How do you defend against that?
Keep that head tight to their body, shoulder high, leave no space for them to snake an arm around your neck. Defensive awareness even during the attack.
Good reminder. Okay, chapter 7. Twisting body lock takedown. This sounds different.
It can be a follow-up or a standalone. It often comes up if you try the high double leg and they sprawl, dropping their weight.
Okay, so they defend the double leg.
Right. Your grip might slide up their body, maybe ending up under their armpits, double underhooks.
That sounds like a decent position, though.
It is. And from there, or if you just achieve double underhooks directly, you can hit this twisting takedown.
How does it work?
Okay, you've got both arms under their armpits. Step back with one leg. With the arm on that same side, thrust upwards hard, lifting their arm up and over yours.
Lifting one of their arms up.
Yeah. Then you take small circular steps, rotating your body while keeping that upward pressure on their arm. It forces them off balance, spins them down onto their back. Leverage and rotation.
Does it work with just one underhook?
Thompson says yes. You trap their other arm somehow, maybe pin it to your side. Then use the single underhook arm to thrust upwards and over, using the same circular steps to off-balance them.
Interesting. Using the underhook offensively. Okay, Chapter 8. Double underhook lateral drop. Sounds related.
It is, starts from the same double underhook position, but Thompson describes this one as almost like a suplex, but sideways. A lateral drop.
How's the setup different?
You pull them towards you while you step backwards, backpedal. The goal is to get their feet staggered, one forward, one back.
Get them slightly off balance that way.
Exactly. Once their feet are staggered, you plant your feet firmly, close together, solid base, keep pulling, then swing their body towards their back foot.
Swing them towards their trailing leg.
Right. As you swing them, you drop your own body sideways laterally, like you're falling to your side. Take them with you.
Okay, falling sideways.
As you fall, you use your thigh, thrust it against theirs, and twist your body hard in the air. The aim is to turn them over so they land on their back, and you hopefully land on top.
That sounds dynamic.
Yeah.
And maybe risky.
Very. Thompson puts a big caution flag here. Says it's not easy, needs practice, and definitely start on a thick crash mat. High potential for awkward landings if it goes wrong.
Yeah, I can picture that. Safety first.
Yeah.
Okay, Chapter 9. High double leg hip swing. Another double leg variation.
Yep. He calls this one more energy efficient, popular in MMA maybe, but adaptable for a hard slam and self-defense too.
Entry is the same as the standard high double leg.
Exactly the same. Wrap the waist, belly to belly clinch, head tucked tight into their chest or shoulder. Place one of your legs between both of theirs. Drop your knees, lift them off the ground.
So you've lifted them up. Now what?
Now you maintain that tight hold, but start to turn slowly. You're using your hips to twist their body while they're in the air.
Manipulate their hips midair.
Right. Get that rotation going, then drop them down onto their back. The hip swing generates the rotational force.
And the headlock risk again.
Still there.
Yeah.
Thompson repeats the warning. Keep that head tucked in super tight. Deny them the space to grab it.
So, efficiency, but requires that constant tight control. Chapter 10. Off-balancing from the body lock. Sounds simpler.
It is relatively simple but effective if you have a good tight body lock already.
Arms wrapped around the waist, hands clasped behind their back.
Correct. From there, you drive one of your legs forward, placing it between and slightly behind their legs. Shift your weight into it.
Okay, step between and behind.
As soon as they react, which they will, trying to adjust their balance,
Yeah.
you immediately drive forward and down. Use their adjustment against them, take their back right to the floor.
Using their own reaction. Clever.
It's about that initial disruption.
Yeah.
But Thompson stresses you need close body contact the whole time. No gaps or you lose control. It's subtle, not flashy.
Okay. Finally, Chapter 11. Head and arm takedown using head control.
Exactly. Big principle in grappling. Control the head, control the body. Where the head goes, the body tends to follow.
Makes sense? What's the grip?
One arm goes over the shoulder. The other arm comes under their opposite armpit. Then you clasp your hands together. Tight head and arm control.
Got it. Over one shoulder, under the other armpit, hands clasped.
To do the takedown, you step forward quick to the outside of one of their legs. As you step, use your bicep, the one over their shoulder, to force their head backward.
Drive the head back.
Yeah, that backward force on the head shifts their weight dramatically. They lose balance backward, and you drive them down. Follow through to a pin if you need to.
He was pretty direct. Any other options from that grip?
He mentions you can also hit a classic hip throw from there, like a cross buttock. Turn your hips in, use your hip as the pivot point, lift, and throw them over.
So that head and arm grip opens up different attacks.
Definitely. A very strong controlling position.
Wow, okay. We've covered a lot there.
Yeah.
From the basics of stance and grip, right through to specific throws like the snatch, various suplexes, double legs, body locks.
Yeah, a good selection from Thompson's book. It really gives a feel for Greco-Roman's focus on that upper body clinch and control.
It really does. And even though it's a specific sport, Thompson frames it as a really valuable piece of the puzzle, especially for self-defense. This somewhat forgotten art, as he calls it.
Absolutely. The principles seem very applicable, particularly when you can't rely on grabbing clothing.
And that constant theme running through it all.
Yeah.
Balance, stance, and maybe above all, the grip.
He hammers that home, doesn't he? They're not minor details. They're the absolute foundation. Master the grips, master the stance, the balance. The throws become possible.
You can't just learn the throw in isolation.
No way. It all builds on those fundamentals.
And Thompson's final point, that Greco is just one part of a bigger picture.
Right. It's valuable, incredibly effective in its domain, but it's about integrating it, finding what works for you, building a broader skill set, not seeing any single art as the be-all and end-all.
So a final thought for our listeners, maybe building on Thompson's ideas. It's interesting to think about those principles: balance, leverage, using momentum outside of just physical conflict.
How so?
Well, think about, say, a negotiation, or even just a difficult conversation. Are there parallels? What are the grips you use then? Maybe arguments or emotional connection.
Huh. Interesting analogy.
And how do you shift someone's balance in an argument? Not to knock them down, obviously, but maybe to shift their perspective, find common ground.
Breaking down resistance, finding leverage points.
Yeah.
I can see that. It's about
100%.
maneuvering, understanding the dynamics, whether it's physical or verbal.
Exactly. The underlying principles of control, leverage, breaking balance. They might pop up in more places than we think. Something to mull over.